Namaste. Welcome back to Monday Marseille, beautiful souls. My name is Sadhana, and today I will be answering your questions with Pablo Robledo's Tarot of Marcella. This is a really lovely deck and very happy to be reading with it today. I have for you one relationship question and two retirement questions. So let's begin with the relationship question. I think the nature of this question has to do with, do I go slow? Do I go fast? Do I dive in? Can we resume all levels of the relationship? What is my best approach? And I want to thank you very much for submitting your question. And I know there are other ways that you could reflect and deal with this, but let's just see what the tarot has to say today. As always, I ask this message be in the highest for the greatest good, and that no harm be done. So be it. Okay, so we begin with the Five of Swords. There's a truth that is cutting through this interesting 2 by 2. You're both bending. You're both bending for something singular to come through. I feel like you're both making room, or the relationship is making room for perhaps something unifying to come through. I wonder if coming together will have a financial benefit for you both in some way. Or, I often see this card as a gift, a real gift. Okay, so we have no major archetype here. We have, let's turn this one over, 2 odd numbered swords cards, the 5 and the 7. It feels like there is a lot of opinion, a lot of talking. And the order drawn of the cards is 1, 2, 3. And I quite like them arranged this way better. I feel like one voice is louder than the other voice. But what is in between is the round table. Maybe I've been reading too much Arthurian, too many Arthurian stories. But does not look like that, like we're looking down at the round table. Whose voice is louder? Your voice or their voice? I think you both feel the need to be validated and to be heard. So it's interesting that you asked what the best approach is, and I'm seeing this round table here. I wonder if you both bring your concerns and your ideas to the table and to have an open-hearted discussion where you each have an opportunity to share your concerns and the way that you would like to enter into this again. From what you said, it feels like you're both curious about exploring this again. And so I would highly suggest that some conversation is absolutely needed here. And I'm not sure what the rules of the round table were, but it feels like you both need to make space for that. One of you has more to say than the other, or one of you has more discombobulation around your thoughts around the relationship than the other. This may be the feminine partner, this may be the masculine partner, but I would say you're not that far apart, though you both definitely want to be heard and you've both got a lot going on. What this doesn't suggest is diving back into bed together. It doesn't suggest traveling. There's no real action suggested here other than allowing your voices to be heard. Now, if this were a coin, I can think of a similar metaphor, almost like a talking stick, where one person, while they're holding the coin, they get to talk, and then you pass it, and the other person gets to talk. So interesting response to your question. I hope that's of help. Thank you. Just glancing at the colors of this deck while I put those cards back in. And the blues are so beautiful. The people cards are truly magnificent in this deck. Wow. All right, so the first of two retirement questions. What does my life look like if I completely cut ties? And I believe you said this was a early retirement from my employer. What does my situation look like? That was a very magnetic cut. So, oh, what a perfect card to come up for a retirement question. An opportunity, an opening. It is the ending. You are definitely at the place of retirement. I like that. It feels like this is absolute confirmation that yes, retirement is the place that you want to be right now. Wow. Maybe a journey to somewhere you've always wanted to go, somewhere that tugs at your heart a little bit, or maybe even something that you have wanted, not necessarily a journey, but something you have wanted to do, a calling almost, a journey back to yourself even. And I'm going to switch the cards around in a moment just to see. And 10 of Cups. So fulfillment, an emotional fulfillment, a great deal of happiness. And I can almost feel this card as tears of joy. You feel that separating yourself from this company that you have identified with for so long, I know you've been finding it hard to leave. But once you finally make that decision and sign the papers, you are full, completely full of emotion. And I feel it's almost like a bittersweet kind of feeling. But this is a 10, a sign of conclusion. This feels like a bit of independence as well, too. And I do like to look at that with a central card in the middle here, and I'm going to do an essence of this reading as well. So we have the World card, one major arcana, two very rich cup cards. And I feel the emotion arising in myself. It's like now I will have time to process many things that I haven't been able to process because of all that I have been going through, all of my challenges, paperwork, things that aren't going right at work. I've been really putting my emotional wellness second, third, fourth. If I count up these cards to capture the essence of this reading, we have 21 and 10 is 31 and 12 more. So that is 43. Now, some of you would reduce that to a 7. I think capturing that essence as the Chariot makes perfect sense, that this is a time for you indeed to go off on your own to seek new pursuits and challenges. You are in control of your journey. And there may be new competitions, new places that you find yourself driven towards. Like I was saying, with considering the Cavalier de Coupe more like a calling. In this way, your calling is definitely it's interesting, your calling is in the same direction. You're both looking in the same way. Now, if I use the other method of adding these up, so then I get 43. 43 minus 22 is 21, which means that indeed this is the essence of this reading, and that retirement is exactly where you are meant to be at this time. And part of that, I feel, is the emotional healing that will result as in making this change is going to be really good for you. It's going to feel amazing. Thank you for reaching out. And the third question today was worded in a way that I think the querent is looking for a picture of 2025. Does this picture look like an ending? If not, what does this picture of 2025 look like? I think the intention here is that they are ready. There have been a lot of things presented that felt almost like there wasn't the energy. They didn't have the energy to continue fighting. I don't know if fighting is the right word, but they just were tired of being challenged. And so I ask the tarot for this particular querent, what does 2025 look like? Can you characterize its energy in 3 cards? And as always, I ask this message be in the highest for the greatest good, and that no harm be done. So be it. Wow, well, no matter where you put the Cavalier, it's like this is almost like the World card. They are indeed heading in a new direction, but looking back, looking towards these 2 cards. Looking back at a relationship, looking back at love, looking back at looking back towards a strong woman, looking back towards someone who indeed was familiar with what they are made of. Now, this is a very fiery card, and this is a very fiery card. What happens if this is interesting, placing them this way. This looks more like a love reading than a question of retirement. Let's say that she knows her inner strength, and you are questioning whether to turn. It looks like you are turning towards that and charging towards that. The advice here might very well be to put your energy, rather than putting your energy into work, to put your energy into relationship. This is quite an interesting combination here. Now I almost feel like there's a lot of fire. Both of these figures have a lot of fire. And the person characterized by the Strength card is one who, it's interesting when I'm looking at this as a relationship question and this being a major archetype and this being a court card, it feels as if this person, they really know themselves. Like this archetype lives deeply within them. They are certain of who they are. You, on the other hand, if this is you, don't feel quite so certain. Also notice how this was the 3rd card, so no matter whether we put this was the 1st card. So even if I do it this way, you're looking toward her, but she's not looking towards you. So that might be something to think about here. But let's try to characterize this in terms of your business, because I know that's part of what I know, because I know that's mainly what you were asking. Let's look at this in terms of a reading only about you and not in terms of relationship, though this two-ness here is hard not to see. And if the horse becomes the lion and you get off your horse and you become more self-assured and you feel a stronger sense of life and vitality. I'm sorry, I don't know. I can't not see what I'm seeing here. And I feel like 2025 isn't so much about your closing shop. 2025 is about peace and resolution and spending time with your partner. It feels like there is a movement towards this figure here. Now, let's suppose this isn't a person and this is simply the archetype of strength and fortitude. This is a journey through a relationship to help you feel stronger. And so as you spend time in relationship, and maybe this isn't about one relationship, maybe this is about relationships, plural, friends, close friends. And maybe this is about spending less time at work and more time with other humans. And with these connections and reconnections, you begin to know your, like I said before, your strength, your vitality again. You were probably hoping for some tens and a world card, something like that. So this will be a really interesting picture for you to get a glimpse of and sit with. So let me know how this response to your question feels. And thank you for submitting your question. If you have questions about any of these readings, I look forward to hearing your responses in the comments below. Thanks for being here. Take good care. Namaste.